Hey guys, it's me, Miss Ferreira. I am trying to get you some information to finish out this unit. You have your test on Thursday. So, trying to get you this last bit of information. So, hopefully, tomorrow, which I hope I'll be back, we can kind of go over some things that you've done since I've been out, and then we can go ahead and review and have our test on Thursday. So, this entire unit, we have been talking about atoms, and we've been talking about atoms in the neutral state where protons are the same number as their electrons. That is about to change as of today. We've also talked about isotopes, which has your neutrons changing, so therefore it changes the mass of the atom. So, getting ahead and going ahead and starting, talk about ions. Ions are atoms that have a charge, positive or negative. This happens because they have gained or lost electrons. If they've gained electrons, they've become negative. If they've lost or losing electrons, they become positive. And we'll do a whole lot of this so that you can see what's actually happening in just a minute. So, why this is so important is because this is how it's going to set us up for bonding later on in our next unit. So we have to make sure that we are understanding ions very clearly. Remember, we never touch the protons. That's the identity of the element. So if you have a positive ion, they are called a cation. And if you remember, a good way to remember this is, and I'm going to try to draw this with my mouse. Cations are positive. And yeah, well, going a little slow right now. Well, there we go. I can use my screen. So they are positive. The cats generally make people happy, might make them a smile. It's a positive thing. Therefore, they're called a cation, and they're losing an electron. Well, technical difficulties as usual. Okay, well, there we go. So they're positive because their protons have exceeded the number of electrons. They're more positive than negative. We will practice writing this. Basically, it's that your charge will go on the upper right-hand corner, and I'll show you that more in a minute. Negative ions, think of an onion. These are called anions. Onions make you cry. They're negative, and they're gaining electrons, so they're more negative than positive. And we write the charges here, as you can see that. All right, so that funny word we had a little while ago, valence electrons. Those are the ones that are in the outermost shell, and those are the ones that are going to be lost or gained. So your nonmetals, which are usually on the right side of the periodic table, are going to end up gaining electrons. If they gain electrons, they're going to become negatively charged, and they're called anions. If their metals are on the left-hand side of your periodic table, they are going to want to lose their electrons on the outermost shells. Then they will become positively charged because they have more protons than electrons. And positively charged atoms are called cations because they are positively charged. Okay, so the octet rule. Remember, this is the rule, that 288 rule, that they want to be full, and that makes them very happy. Again, getting to bonding later on, this is how this works. So, on your periodic table, which should be out, by the way, you are going to label each of these columns with a +1 and a +2. We're going to skip the transition metals here. We don't really do anything here in our course. +3, ±4, and I'll explain why in a little while. -3, -2, -1, and 0. Again, I'll explain in a minute. All right, let's go on over to your worksheet that looks like this, I hope. Move this on over, I hope. There we go. All right, so you have this worksheet, but I want to put this aside for now, and let's kind of talk about what we just did. So if you are looking at, for example, let's look at lithium. You'll have to bear with my messy writing because I don't have my stylus. So lithium has 3 protons, 3 electrons, and 4 neutrons. We are only going to focus on the electrons. So if I draw the Bohr diagram for lithium, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 electrons. But if you remember our octet rule of 2, 8, and 8, we know that this particular orbital is not happy, it's not full, because it only has 1 right here in this orbital. So what we need to look at is this. Now, atoms are very lazy. They are going to do the least amount of work as possible. So this first orbital, is happy and it's full. Our second orbital needs to gain or lose some electrons. So it has 1. Either it's going to want to lose the 1 or gain 7. Losing 1 sounds like the easier amount of work, right? So that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to lose the 1. Well, if it loses the 1, you still have protons are 3, but your electrons are now 1, 2. 2. So now you have less electrons than protons. So if you have less electrons than protons, that means you have more protons, duh, and you are more positively charged. You have more protons than electrons. So your charge will be, you are positive by 1. You have lost 1 electron and now you have become positive because of the 1. So let's practice and look at this some more. And for some reason it didn't take that one. Let's take another look at boron. Boron is, that's an E, by the way. 5 protons, 5 electrons in its neutral state, and 6 neutrons. Again, only focusing on my electrons because we're talking about ions. If I draw my Bohr diagram, I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First level is full. I have 3 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3 valence electrons. But that shell wants to hold 8. So my choices are to lose 3 or gain 5. Obviously, losing 3 is easier. So I now will have still 5 protons, still 6 neutrons. And if I'm going to lose these 3 outer ones, I am left with 2. Now my protons are more than my electrons. So now I am positively charged by losing 1, 2, 3. So then I go back and write B with a 3 plus. And that makes me a cation. Okay, I'm going to select all this, get rid of it. Ooh. That's a mess. I'm going to move this back over. So let's kind of work how talk about how this one works. So number of protons will identify my element. So using my periodic table, I can tell that this is iodine. It's a little bit off, but okay. And then my symbol is I. Now it tells me, so if I have 53 protons, I should have 53 electrons, but it's telling me I've gotten one more. So if I've gained one electron, then I should be positive or negative. Hope you said negative, because now my negative electrons outnumber my protons. So I should have over here, and I can't do really subscripts, but be 1 negative. Oy, that doesn't work either. So it will be just a 1 negative. And I am an anion. All right, so if I have 16 protons, I am going to have chlorine. I'm sorry, sulfur, my bad. Make that a little bit smaller. Of course, it doesn't give me an option to move, so it'll be okay. And then sulfur will be here. Now, if I have 16 protons and I've gained 2 electrons, that means I have now 18 electrons. Now, if I've gained 2 electrons, it means I am more negative now. So if I'm more negative, that makes me an anion. And I've just put a 2 with a negative symbol. That is my charge. All right, I hope this helps and gets you on the way. Please watch the other videos. that you have in Google Classroom that can help you. And hopefully I can go over this with you tomorrow in person. Thank you very much.